Stop selling digital files. Listen, if you're stuck in the broken digital file model, you're not just leaving money on the table. You're actually failing your clients. And with AI now able to create images in seconds, things are going to get a lot more competitive if you're a portrait photographer who sells high-res digital files only. What you need is a business model upgrade. By the way, I'm Sarah Petty, founder of the Photography Business Institute, where I teach portrait photographers how to run a profitable business without sacrificing their family or their weekends. Today, I'm going to show you why selling high-resolution digital files keeps you broke, what the most profitable and successful portrait photographers do instead, and the exact shifts that took my students from averaging a few $100s per client to multi-$1,000 orders. Shifts that are completely AI-proof. Here's what I need you to understand. Most photographers have convinced themselves of a lie. They believe people only want digital files, that everyone just wants the cheapest photographer they can find. But think about this for a second. Why do people pay hundreds of dollars for a nice sit-down meal at a restaurant when they could buy the ingredients at a grocery store for easily 10 times less than what they would pay for at the restaurant? Because people don't just want the ingredients. They want the experience. They want to be served. They want something beautiful created for them by a professional who knows what they're doing. What if I told you there's something you can create for your clients that's so valuable to them that if their house were on fire, it would be the first thing they grab? It's something so meaningful that 21 years later, they'd still call it the most valuable thing I own and say they couldn't downsize their home because they need room for it. Here's the thing. This is the most photographed generation in history. But because none of these images are getting printed, they're becoming the lost generation. Those pixels will soon disappear. Look, social media accounts get hacked every day. Phones get broken. Hard drives crash. Online galleries get deleted. I think you know where I'm going with this. I had to make this discovery too, and after I figured out what clients really want and how to serve them, everything in my life changed. When I started my business, I was shooting film. So I gave my clients printed proofs. I was essentially giving away my images for almost nothing. My clients would get beautiful hand-printed proofs for $75. By the time I paid for film and developing, that made it like $10 of profit. And I was telling myself that I wanted everyone to be able to afford me, and that if they wanted more images, they could order it, because they were telling me they wanted some big wall portraits, but nobody was ordering. Sound familiar? I'd meet families at the park for their session, and then like a week or two later, I'd drop off their gorgeous images, these beautiful prints, with an order form, and I'd hope, oh gosh, they're gonna buy more. It was a hopeful strategy that didn't really work. Very quickly, I realized that if I continued this way, I was basically running a charity and not a business. I had brand new baby twins. My husband had just launched his business. So our income dropped from 2 professional salaries and 2 people to his new business salary and 4 people. I was earning basically nothing. And I knew I had to overhaul my entire approach because I didn't like the alternative, which was going and getting another full-time job, 8 to 6 with some overtime, right? And leaving these yummy new babies that I had. So I knew if I was going to get a different result from my business, I couldn't keep going the way I was going. Now, maybe I was naive, but I wanted both things. I wanted a meaningful career with profit, and I wanted to be a hands-on mama. And I'm so thankful to my past self that I didn't settle for one or the other. That's when I created what I call a portrait profit path, which is part of a boutique system. Instead of giving all the proofs away and hoping my clients would buy additional prints from me, clients only got prints of what they ordered. And the prints weren't small, they were large wall portraits. They were canvases and framed portraits that they could decorate their homes with. So I started showing my clients how these large wall portraits would look amazing in their homes. Beautiful albums, heirloom artwork, framed and finished. I'm talking about custom artwork that becomes a permanent part of their home and their family story. I educated them that these weren't pictures that they just swap out every couple of years, but artwork of the people they love the most, so that every day when they walk in their home, they could feel the love. My first client using this new approach, her name was Julie. And when Julie came in, she wasn't asking, how much do these cost? Or do you have anything cheaper? She had picked up what I call a dog whistle marketing piece at a local kids clothing store that I partnered with. She saw these yummy relationship images in the artwork of babies, and she said, I want this. Listen, even though I nervously talked her out of a few wall portraits, tried to sabotage the sale, Julie still invested over $1,800 that day. And get this, she was so much fun to work with. And after she left, I did the math. That one session of $1,800 equaled 24 of my prior sessions at $75. And there was real profit in that. What's so cool is 17 years later, I photographed baby Josie's senior portraits at their home, and I saw that those newborn images are still the centerpiece of their home. And when I started telling this story to my students in the community at the Photography Business Institute, students would start saying, well, I want it, Julie. How do I do that? They would implement my system and they would be posting in our group, I got my Julie. So now we started literally celebrating everyone's first Julie, because I know that you're literally one big order away from proving to yourself that this system actually works. I really want you to get this point. Instead of making prints an upsell, which is what most photographers do, I made them the only sell, and it changed everything for me and for my clients. Instead of giving them a bunch of small digital files that they would do nothing with, maybe post on social media, and hoping they'd order some printed wall art, I let them know up front that I specialize in creating this artwork that they could hang on their walls. What we're really talking about is the difference between a fast food drive-through window at a restaurant and a sit-down restaurant that has a beautiful table with a view. Everything, and I mean everything, is different with these two models. With the digital file model, you have no relationship with your clients. You drop off files or send them a link to an online gallery and then disappear. Your clients aren't investing a lot of time or money in this process. And let's face it, they aren't always the easiest to please, are they? And like fast food restaurants, there are countless competitors doing this same inexpensive digital file model. Now, with the boutique model that I use, I've created lifelong connections, right? Clients who've been coming back, some for 25, 27 years, and they're so much fun to work with. The thing is, they spend so much more time with you in the process. We know the more time they invest, the more money they invest. By figuring out this new path to profit all those years ago, I completely separated myself from the competition. Now I'm like one of the few high-end restaurants in town that has very little competition. And it isn't just me having this success. Take Ryan Vinson, a former high school teacher in Clarksville, Tennessee. He goes to sports games and supports the students. He told me, when you go and support them and you're there showing up at their matches and you pick them up off the floor sometimes, they're going to tell their mom, hey, I only want him to do my senior photos. One mom told Ryan recently that, yeah, no one else gets to do his senior photos. This relationship first approach transformed Ryan's business. So he went from averaging $345 giving away all the digital files to his very first wall portrait client following my system, who invested $3,006 for just 2 wall portraits. Here's the thing most photographers don't stop to think about. When your belief is, oh, my business is fine, I just need more clients, you're gonna run out of time to serve all those clients. Photographers that sell digital files only hit an income ceiling really fast, and then there's no potential for growth. Boutique print-based portrait photographers, on the other hand, they can grow to such higher levels because their average sales get bigger and bigger with the same or way less time spent, because you're not shooting as many images, you're not editing as many images, you're editing what they purchase. Game changer. Like another student, Gia Chong, She's the mom of a teenager out in Stockton, California, and she was stuck in this exact trap. In 2023, listen to this, she photographed 120 sessions. Half of them were mini sessions, half were full sessions, and she was maxed out at $56,000. She was grinding, burned out, and knew something had to change. There was no time left for her to do any more to grow her business. But here's what happened when she switched to our boutique profit path model. She was able to transition just 2 of her past clients that she thought she might lose, but using our approach with those 2 clients, she alone made an additional $3,200. Listen, photographers who sell digital files only are capped by the hours they spend editing and competing on price, selling their services for a few $100 and pocketing very little after expenses. But when you shift to wall portraits and you couple that with a system that serves your client, your average sale jumps dramatically because you're selling finished artwork, not raw files. Now you might say, hey, Sarah, yes, I sell high-res digital files, but I do offer prints. Why do I need to switch my model? Here's the problem with what we call a hybrid approach. When you're digital only, you will be attracting what one of my mentors calls triple cheapo people, right? These are bargain hunters, people who want the best deal, AKA cheap. When you're boutique, meaning high service with a great experience and a completed product at the end, you will attract triple people. Those are premium clients who will value what you do. When you're hybrid, you're stuck in the middle. Triple cheapo people don't want to spend more, and the premium buyers feel like something is missing, and you're not serving them at the level they had hoped for. Catherine Della Ripa is a student of mine out in the LA area who learned this exact thing. She was stuck in this middle hybrid model where she was giving clients high-res digitals for a fee, but also offering wall portraits as an option. These clients aren't gonna order this because they already have the digitals. And then she was frustrated with how her business was going. But when she committed to our Profit Path boutique system, everything changed. She went from $500 clients to her highest sale being close to $6,000. Her client was so excited, saying, "This is exactly what I wanted," and handed over her credit card. Even her husband couldn't believe she was making this kind of money. So when you serve the right clients at this level, they want to invest in preserving that experience. The worst possible place to be is in the middle. We always say, pick a pony and ride it. Be high volume digital only, plan to work a lot of hours, which is fine if that's what you want, or be low volume, large order boutique, which of course is how you get your life back. This is why it's my passion to save as many photographers as I can from giving away their most valuable resource, which is their time. So selling completed artwork works for 3 critical reasons. First, it creates generational impact. Remember my first wall portrait client, Julie? She told me she'll have these portraits hanging of her daughters when they're 30, 40, 50, when she's a grandma. They're timeless and they will never go out of style. Second, it's AI proof. Listen, anyone can generate business portraits with AI now, but you can't fake the emotional connection of holding your baby or playing in the yard with your kids. Photos with emotional ties, the ones that become heirloom artwork, those are the only ones that are going to survive. Third, it changes your business and your life for the better. Instead of competing on price with every photographer who got a nice digital camera for Christmas, you're serving right fit clients who value what you do. And you get your time back because you're serving fewer clients and making way more. Look, I get that ditching the digitals feels scary. You might lose some current clients, but here's the truth. You're not a charity. If you want a profitable business, sometimes you have to make some hard decisions. Ask yourself this. If you do nothing in the next year, do the math on your income and look at the hours you're working. Now imagine you take a step back and you learn how to separate yourself from the competition. how to book premium clients, how to follow a sales system that makes your clients beg to order more. And you handle every step so those clients not only come back, they refer their friends. In a year, even if you have to go backwards and slow down to learn that, you'll be caught up to, I believe, or way ahead of where you would be if you just stay the course that you're on. Look, after teaching over 100,000 photographers over 20 plus years, I can tell you people don't just want digital files, and you don't have to be the cheapest, but you do have to grow your skills. So when you make this leap, you make the competition and AI irrelevant. I believe to my core, this is the only way to make great money and have time left to put your family first. Listen, now that you know which business model wins, watch my next video and see how one of my students sold over $13,000 in wall portraits right after switching from a digital model. Watch it next.